Hi, this is Roger, thanks for dropping by. Sunday chat today isn't really a chat, it's how fast can we put my mounts back where they go. It's the only way I can do an update fast is to have them all ready, if you see what I mean, rather than have to go and get them. So I counted up, altogether I've got about 70 mounts. Now if they had a minute each, which isn't long, that's 70 minutes, isn't it? So 30 seconds each takes it down to 35, maybe 40. So depending on if I get sidetracked, which, oh, that never happens. Absolutely never happens. I'm always to the point. You believe that, you believe anything. But yeah, I'm going to see how far I can get. The majority of the mounts come down in the first session of watering, the greatest number. And then there's 2 more sessions to go which don't have anywhere near as many. Now I could do those 2 sessions in a separate video. So it's basically a mount update. Before I get going, thanks to everybody who went across and hit the like button on that Osprey site. It was greatly appreciated by them. They got up to their 1K, and the donations that had been promised, bearing in mind they run on donations, there's no money. It's all donated. Those donations came in at that point, so they were well pleased. Those of you that couldn't be bothered, I don't think I've got anything to say to you. Right, let's go. First one then. This was a gift, and it's Dendrobium Fangsinchianense, something like that. And I got it. It was already mounted because that's not my mount, and it dropped its leaves as we went into winter. I thought, well, that's nothing unusual, and then it did absolutely nothing, and it hasn't done anything until very, very recently, and it's just started to grow. So status of that one, coming back into growth. They're all going to get a status today. They go back in a certain order. We've got a new set of Dendrobiums, by the way. They're called lousy Latorias as opposed to what once was good Latorias. No name on this, and until they get back and I'm happy that they're growing well, I'm not even interested in what they're called. One single new growth on this that is pushing on and isn't going to rot. So status on that, recovering, just. And it is only just. That's it's nearly been thrown out so many times. This is a recent one. This is Coriniferum, and this is a black hair type. Status on this one, growing well for this time of year. We've got many new growths actively growing and quite a strong new cane coming out. So inactive growth, doing what it should be doing this time of year, basically, getting on with it. Next one. Do I know what this one is? There's going to be some without... this is Dendrobium tortilli, or tortille, however you want to say it. This was a gift from Alberto. The original cane rotted. It had 2 kikis which I planted. Those 2 kikis have now got strong new growths coming out and new roots. So inactive growth. I wouldn't class that as recovering anymore. It's growing. It's doing what it's supposed to do this time of year, which is get on and grow. That's that one. And the last one for that little section is, this is the Twinkle Cross. This is a strange one. It's a Twinkle crossed back with Sotoanum, which is one of the parents of the Twinkle. Oh, it's that little rat dog next door again. This is Siku Marguerite Chian Si Glory, it says here. Status of this one, coming into good growth. I've got a new growth up the top of the plant, another one here, another one round the side here, and another one in the middle. So 4 growths on that one. No real sign of major root activity yet, but it's already got good roots. The new ones to go with those growths will be extras, so bonuses more than anything. I'm going to do this one next, even though it's not part of this set, because it gets in my flipping way. Strictly speaking, it doesn't belong to me. Epidendrum nocturnum. Strange one, but that one's going to somebody else as soon as I can get it in the post. It's done a mass of new roots recently, and its latest cane is pushing on okay. So growing as normal, that one, not doing anything unusual. And not flowering, which is quite normal for that one. That means I can now get at these few, because that one gets in the way. This is this is Tiny Twinkle. God, I didn't recognise it. It's grown big. So this is called Tiny Twinkle, and it is a miniature version of a twinkle. Number of growths on this, uncountable. I can't be bothered. I'll flash round. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. A dozen or more new growths, and new roots are starting. So inactive growth doing exactly what it should be, and doing it rather well. Next one is another twinkle, and it's a biggie. And I think this is the Red Fantasy. Again, number of growths on here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and then along the top, a lovely row along the top there. I don't think there's a complete row of new growths. So over a dozen, about 15, something like that, with associated new roots pushing out through the existing root system, doing what it should be this time of year, pushing out new growths, often 2 growths per single bulb, so where there was 1 there's now 2, usually pushes out 2 spikes per new growth. That will be a spectacle later in the year. Don't forget we get our spikes on twinkles and we think, oh, whoopee! Well, you can go on your holidays before they bloom. They do take a while, don't they? Right, the rest are down here. A few rescue Oncidiums, Oncidiums, well they are technically I suppose, Tolumnias. These are rescues, that is one. Not growing very well, but it has got new roots and it has got a new growth, so not dead yet. Recovering, I think is the technical term. Yet another one, again, new growths coming out, a few new roots, recovering. Yeah, these are the ones that got the scale bad and had to be completely stripped off their mount, which lost them some roots and had to be redone and started again from scratch. Rescue one, only just hanging in there. That one's nearly gone. I'm not sure that one will make it. I'm not sure at all. It's always been a weak one, that one, even before the scale attack. But not doing well. Another one. Recovering, that's got a lovely strong new growth. So although it's a recovering Tolumnia, it is, and it's doing it rather well, and it's now chucking out a good root system. So that's well on the mend. But we're not having a separate category, it's still recovering. Next status after that is growing well, and it certainly ain't doing that yet. Right, what we've got here is, this is the Primulinum variety Laos that I got at Malvern last year. 2 nice new growths with new roots, most of which are attaching immediately. So that one's gonna, those canes should grow quite well. To be a mature flowering plant, those canes, new ones, need to be twice the length of these really. So I'm not sure I'm going to get blooms next year. May have to wait till the year after. We shall see, but relatively new plant, you know, I've had that less than a year. Next one is Dendrobium Comet King. That's a nobly type. That didn't do very well at all until last year when it grew quite a good new cane. It's now growing another one and a complete new set of roots. So doing well, coming on. Next is what looks like another twinkle with no name. I believe that's the yellow twinkle. These, is it? No, it's not. That's somewhere else. I forget. It's a twinkle. One of them. There are many because they got split and some got mounted, a couple got put back in pots, or at least one did. And I've lost track of them. Right. Do we switch now? Yes, we do. Yes, right. Now we come back round this side again for a minute or two. And what we've got over here is a nobly type on a mount. I've forgotten its name. I would say growing incredibly well. Lovely strong new canes pushing up, quite a few of them, 1, 2, 3, 4 maybe, and regenerating a root system on top of the root system it already had. Doing well. That lives just there, far enough away from that spike on the brassica that it doesn't knock it, especially when the fan blows. Next one that lives next to that is Kuniko. Good plant. Not much more to say about Kuniko. Grows well for me. Even though some of the growths technically are kikis because they're not coming out of the base of the plant, but some are. My growths are the leaved canes, and it blooms virtually continuously. Well pleased with that. It's a Victoria Regina cross, so I'm surprised it does well in here, because at least that element of it is not, shouldn't really be happy in the heat, but seems to do okay. And then we've got this one, which is another twinkle, or another piece of twinkle. This has got quite a few new growths, one at the front, one at the side, one at the back, and there's another new one just starting there. So in growth, a little bit late starting those new growths, but at least it's done it now, so they're on their way, they're doing okay. And then this one has been in a state of recovery for, I hate to think how long, 3 years, and it's now, I think, going to grow. It's spent that long not growing. So we've got a new growth here pushing up and another one round here, and there's another one right at the front here. So we have actually got 3 new growths. It hasn't got a good root system, but those new growths are just starting to show. So it is going to grow some new roots. That should recover now after all that time. Can't even remember what it's called. It's not worth memorising it because I didn't think it was going to be around long. And then this one, finally, is another twinkle. And that is the yellow twinkle, or twinkle yellow. And that was a couple of little tiny pieces that broke off when I repotted it. And both pieces bloomed, even though they were tiny, and both pieces have a new growth each. So 2 new growths, but it is actually 2 separate little plants on there. So no reason why those won't push on well. It's got a reasonable root system and it's generating some more. So that's doing well. Right, where are we? Where do you go? You go up there. Right. Next we come over here and start over here now. I'm not going to be able to do all of them because some of them have already been put away. This is the Miltonia Queen Anne that has highly likely got a virus, and we're waiting on these new growths to actually bloom if they choose to, and see what the blooms look like. If those blooms have got colour break and are distorted, it's going straight in the bin, but it's got its last chance. It is growing, strong new growth, strong new growth, strong new growth, another new growth out the back of the plant. So it's making a good effort on the growth front, and it's just starting to produce some new roots off those. But these growths are not all clean. They have got some marks on the leaves, so they're not pure. So it may still end up in the bin, but it's being given a chance because the blooms are gorgeous. So that lives up there. The other mounted Miltonia is forgotten, begins with a C, and it's actually a primary cross that's a natural hybrid that occurs in the wild, but for the life of me I can't remember its name. But this is growing in 2 directions, one out each way, new roots coming, and 2 good strong new growths. There's no reason why they both shouldn't bloom, but I suspect that they'll be out of step because this is a much stronger bloom, more advanced growth than this one. So that'll be first, that'll be second. We should see some spikes on that hopefully in a few weeks, I would think. Thereabouts. What else lives up there? This thing. Oh, no tag again. All I can remember on this is it's lanipipes or lanipes or something like that, but what the bit up the front is I've forgotten. It's either epidendrum or, yeah, it'll be epidendrum I suspect. This is came in the Christmas raffle, which I won in the raffle. It has a new growth that's pushing on quite nicely, which as yet hasn't produced any roots, but the little new growth behind it is producing some roots. So it's doing something, and it has actually produced 1 root that's progressed across the mount and really grabbed hold. So coming on, I'll class that as. You go up there somewhere. And all that's left here really in this lot is, we'll have a quick look at that one because I can get at it. I'm not getting the Phalaenopsis out because they've already gone back. This is my Oncidium vericosa Rogersii, and this is the one that hasn't grown for ages and ages. That last time we looked at this, it had this tiny little new growth here. Well, it's still got it. It hasn't rotted, and it is getting bigger. If that can get to a couple of inches long, then this plant's made it, and it's but it's classed as in danger of basically going. That's all that's left on it, is that tiny little bit of green. So not very good at all. And then we'll just whip along the rest of the Tolumnias in this top bit, which is this one first, which is Tolumnia Europhylla, which is my only species, which is just coming into bloom. And as Tolumnias go, the blooms are absolutely tiny. They are a lovely colour and an unusual shape for a Tolumnia, but they're tiny. That's the only species I've got, and the spike looks all over the place simply because some idiot broke the tip. So I broke the main spike off on the roof. Luckily it branched, and this one is branching. Otherwise we wouldn't have had any blooms on that this year, because that's the only spike. We had 2 spikes last year. It's also starting new growths in several places. Tiny little bits of green showing like there. Yeah, so it is coming into growth as well. So that's that one. Next one along. This is, I'm glad it had a name on it, Tolumnia Peach. This has been in bloom since December or January, and it's still going. And it's currently working on the branches, and these are the last. One spike I've taken off. This one's starting to go, so that will be coming off soon. But it is coming into growth. We've got a new growth here and another one here. So it's starting its new growths ahead of the blooms coming off, which is good. That means it's really got its strength and everything now. I can only see those 2 new growths at the moment, but that's not bad. So there we go, that's that one, Tolumnia Peach, one of my favourites, lovely colours. Next one along is this one. This was one of the lousy Christmas plants, but it managed to just about hang in there. This is Jarrett Rainbow Soft Pink, and colours are lovely on this one. Lovely combination of colours. Who turned all the lights off? The sun's just gone in. But yeah, lovely colours on that one, and considering it came out of the 5 Christmas ones, it's one of 2 that made it, because the others didn't. They were a poor lot, they were, as I've said before. And then this one, I've had this one a while now, Sunset Pink. Strong growing plant, this one. This one's already got new growths coming out here. Another 2 there. In fact, there might even be 3 coming out together there. Pointing downwards, and several in the middle of the plant. It's in good active growth despite currently being in bloom as well. And again, we're living on the branches of these spikes now. The original spikes have gone, so they've branched, and they're still in bloom, and they're still a smashing colour. Yeah, Sunset Pink, that one. And then I must have missed that one. We didn't do that one, did we? This isn't... Yeah, we did do that one. Come on, brain, more coffee. Actually, it's getting late in the day for coffee. We'll be switching to something else soon. Now, this is the one that was in the kitchen not long ago, and it got split into 3. So this must be Golden Sunray Sunrise, because that was peach. So this had its spikes taken off. And this is 3 pieces, one of which might not make it at all. If it's wobbling around like that, it probably won't. That didn't get secured very well. This one has a tiny little new growth. This one has a reasonable new growth. This will make it, that one probably will, that one might not. But that's how it ended up. With the old pieces getting cut off, it ended up in 3 pieces. We will get 2 to grow, I'm sure, possibly 3. And the one lurking at the back is my Cyclopsis, which lives behind the Tolumnias. Relatively new plant, and it matured. It's 2 when I got it, it had 2 growths pushing on, you know, and it matured those in the winter very, very, very slowly, because obviously this is a warm grower and it doesn't like getting cold. But last time we looked at it, I said, I don't know what this is, but we have something growing at the base there. Now that's either a new growth or a spike, but whatever it is, there's now another one growing up here. You probably won't be able to see that, it's tiny. It's at the base of this leaf, so you have to follow that down. It's like there on the end of my finger. So whatever it is, there's now 2 of them, so it's doing something. It'd be great if they were spikes, but I'm not sure that's a very mature plant, so it's more likely to be another couple of new growths, which if they push on this time of year, they are going to be a lot stronger than the 2 that pushed on in the winter. So that's that, and that's that lot. Right, so that's a section. Now I don't know how much time that's actually taken up, but I am going to leave it at that for today. And sorry we didn't have a chat type thing like I normally do on a Sunday, but quite honestly I didn't have a subject. And with other things going on, I couldn't be bothered to spend a lot of time racking this tiny little thing up here to try and get something to come out that was reasonable for a chat. So as always, I'm open to suggestions. We haven't had a Q's and A's recently. There will be enough for this Thursday. Yeah, so when this Thursday gets here, it will be a Q's and A's, and there may even be some more turn up by then. But a topic to talk about on Sunday should be orchid related. It can be distantly orchid related, but it needs to be orchid related, that we can chat about, not, you know, that isn't just holding up plants and looking at them. Although we need to do that in an environment like this. People get their own favourites. They might not be my favourites, they might be ones that are borderline getting chucked out, but people have their favourites. They like to see how they're getting on. But we are heading now towards the end of May. When we get into June, I will be starting the project plants updates again. Now there's 4 of those in relatively quick succession, where we look back at the original project plants that I filmed in March, and we will look at them as they were then, we will look at them as they are now, and discuss their progress and what I expect out of them over the next quarter before we film them again. So those will be starting in June. Same plants, same sequence, yeah, as before. So we've got that to come. There's lots of things going in here rather than coming. Even my Hercoglossam's got some blooms on their way out. Those were the forerunners, the early birds. But there's still plenty on there, and there's still some to open. But, you know, in this heat, things don't last. The Lindleyi, the last spike to open was the one at the top. If I give it a shake, most of them will fall off. Oh well, that's it. Make me a liar, won't you? But they're well on their way out now. And I hate to say it, but I even think Dendrobium senile is coming to the end. Are you going to come down? Yes. There's one bloom. I won't. Well, I could put my coffee down, I suppose. This bloom here is starting to go. Well, they all came out quite close together, so if one's on its way, the others will go soon. Except for this one. This one over here is on a different cane in a different part of the plant. That one hasn't long been opened. You should be able to see the difference. If you look at the centre of the ones that have been open some time, they're a beautiful deep golden yellow. However, when they first open, it's green. Yeah? It's got green. So they do change colour. But yeah, that, you know, that's on limited days now, limited time. Yeah, we'll see where we go. So what I hope to do tomorrow is the rest of this, which is, you know, because I'll have to water my mounts again today. It's sweltering in here with the kit off and the fans off and everything. So we'll do the rest of the mounts tomorrow, which is a lot of the big stuff will be in that lot. Some rescues and some big stuff. And as I say, thanks for dropping by. And I know some of you have got hooked on those Nest cams. I did warn you, they are a little bit addictive. But I drop in and see how they're doing now and again. As I said, when I dropped in on the one we were trying to get up to 1K, The video that had the request on had 800 plus views on it when I went to bed or heading up that way. And I know some of the people who were watching that video had already been over there and clicked the like from the previous time I'd asked. And when I got up in the morning and I had a look at my comments, loads of people, yeah, I've been over there, yeah, done that, great, blah, 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 blah. And I switched over to the Nest Cam site and it was at 950, which means out of those people that have watched my video, 3/4 of the people didn't bother going over and clicking the like. I'd like to choose a word. See you next time. Bye for now.